Thank you, everybody. My name is Harith. I'm from HelloGold. Can I just simply ask first, how many of you have heard of HelloGold before? Okay, good, good. That means there's an audience for me to explain, otherwise there's no reason for me to stand here. How many of you have actually invested in gold before? Okay, a couple. Not bad, not bad. We don't typically think that the kind of developed economy has more people who are invested in gold. Typically what we find is with the mass market in emerging economies such as Asia is where the demand lies. So my title is Democratization through Blockchain, specifically to democratize access to financial services through the blockchain. Before I start, I'll give a brief background on our CEO and co-founder, Robin. He was the CFO of the World Gold Council, who also run SPDR GLD, which is the world's largest gold ETF or private fund, in other words, with $30 billion of assets under management. When he was in World Gold Council, he also launched a gold savings product with ICBC, which is the largest bank in China. And they built a product that had 0 customers to 11 million and $6.5 billion in annual sales within 4 years. So the reason I'm doing this is just to give a background on Robin and the gold industry. If I'm standing here talking to you as a 27-year-old with minimal background in the gold industry, there's a bit less credibility. But if I tell you Robin is the one that started this, kind of build up the credibility a bit more. Beyond just Robin's background, the story behind HelloGold is in the 97-98 financial crisis in Asia. I'm not sure how many of you are familiar with what happened then. There were people, normal people who earned maybe $1,000 a month, $2,000 a month, who didn't have fancy investments, who didn't even know about things like investments and bonds. They kept their savings in cash. And when the financial crisis happened, the value of their currencies, whether it was the Malaysian ringgit, the Thai baht, or the Indonesian rupiah, all dropped extremely to within, an example would be a 50% drop for the people in Thailand. So if you imagine someone who earned maybe $1,000, the next day he woke up and he had only $500 worth of a salary. And his costs are still the same. The reality of life suddenly changes for these people who don't have huge amounts of savings. So for this reason, Robin started HelloGold, because with a GLD, the ETF, which is listed on NYSE, it was an amazing product. It provided a gold savings option for people, but people in the developed economies, people who already have access to financial services. But the normal mass market in emerging economies, those who earn hundreds of dollars rather than thousands of dollars in a month, they still don't have access to these financial services. And when the next financial crisis happens, which if you believe it will happen sometime soon in the next couple of years, and if you believe that the extremity of these crises will be much worse than it was before, then these are the people who will suffer the most. People in developed economies such as Paris may suffer, but these are, if you lose 50% of your savings just like that, with no other option, it creates a much bigger impact for you than if you had options in multiple currencies or in cryptocurrencies. So HelloGold was created for this group of people. So a bit more background on the company. So HelloGold is headquartered in Singapore and Malaysia. It is backed by FinLab, which is a joint venture between the Singapore government and UOB, which is one of the largest banks in Singapore. I can also announce now that one of our backers is 500 Startups, which have, amongst others, backed the companies Grab and Carousel, which are Southeast Asia's first 2 unicorns. We have partnered with Axiata Digital and Aeon Credit. So Axiata is, amongst other things, they are the leading telco provider in Asia. So they have 300 million customers across 9 countries. And Aeon has 100 million customers, mostly in Asia. They are founded in Japan. And very importantly, one of their products is a credit service. So with Aeon, what we provide is for people who have been able to save in gold, they can then collateralize that gold to access gold-backed loans. So people who don't have bank accounts, who don't have access to bank loans, they can collateralize the gold that they have with HelloGold to be able to get loans, not big amounts, but maybe in the $1,000 US to buy a motorcycle or to buy a food stall so they can set up shop. We've also been added to 10X Club, which is a initiative by the Malaysian Ministry of Finance to sort of, in short, to basically create the first Malaysian unicorn. So it has helped us to create connections with either government agencies or government-linked companies who are huge in economies like Malaysia. We've also set up the HelloGold Foundation, which is headquartered in Singapore, and the aim of the HelloGold Foundation is to support any project that uses the blockchain technology to democratize access to financial services. So in October of 2017, we completed the first round of the HelloGold token sale. We raised $5 million equivalent in Ether, and the way the token sale was designed is slightly different than most. We've done it in a way that replicates more like the VC kind of fundraise. So there's 3 rounds. The first round is targeting $5 million, a second round later this year, and the third round in 2019. So the idea is for any investors, any people who are interested to support the HelloGold project, they have an option to look at HelloGold's performance across 1 year and then the second year, so that they can then evaluate the performance of HelloGold instead of just the white paper and the kind of roadmaps that we put on it. So what is HelloGold? In short, it allows a user, a mass market user in emerging economies, to start saving in gold and to borrow using collateralizing their gold and to send their gold, in short, a remittance across countries. Most importantly, you can start with 1 ringgit, which is the currency in Malaysia. It's equivalent to about 20 cents in euro, and so anyone out there, you know, no matter your salary is in the thousands of dollars or in the hundreds, or even if it's less than $100, you pretty much have no excuse. You can start saving your wealth already with this low value. An important part also is that not just is the minimum buy-in is low, but the rate that you buy is a lot lower than you would otherwise in kind of the real world. So for a mass market person right now, if they wanted to buy gold, to save investment grade gold, they have to first start with 1 gram, which is about 170 ringgit. And the rate that they pay over the market price can go up to 20%. So if you are trying to save your wealth in gold, you have to buy at 20% above, and then when you sell, the price is 20% below market price. So you're kind of expecting gold to go up 40% before you break even on your investment, which is it will take a very long time for you to achieve that. Why we're doing this, from other than to kind of increase financial inclusion, there is a business side to this. So there are more than there's 1.1 billion savers in just ASEAN, Southeast Asian countries, and China alone, and out of these, they save 620 billion US dollars in cash, and out of these people, 700 million of them do not have access to official financial institutions. What does that mean? If I was one of these people and I want to access loans, I can't go to a bank. I can't go to any of these licensed financial institutions. What I would end up going to is my employers, my friends or family, or in the worst case, to loan sharks, which is the least ideal option of all. And what HelloGold solves for this target market is that we help them when they're over-reliant on cash savings. We give them access to personal credit, which is loans, and we give them an access to do remittance for free. And how do we do all of that? You can diversify your savings from just purely cash, either in the bank account or under your pillow, to gold that's easy on a mobile app. You can then collateralize any of the gold holdings you have with us to apply for loans with licensed financial institutions. And you can send gold for free to other countries. And why is this important? Is that a lot of these people in emerging economies, they are migrant workers. So for example, in Malaysia, you have people who work as house helpers, as cleaners, but they're actually from Indonesia. And for them, saving their salary and bringing it back you get charged a flat fee of about 10 ringgit, which is about $2 when you use the typical kind of services like Western Union. For people like probably most of us here, $2 is not that big of a deal, but when the amount that you're sending is a lot lower than that, $2 becomes a huge percentage of the price that you pay every single time. And the target market that we're looking at is makes up about 650 million in Southeast Asia and China alone. So we're starting with the consuming and emerging middle class. These are the people who earn maybe about $13,000 per year. They have maybe one house and one car, but beyond that, they don't have access to loans for other purposes. Eventually, we want to start giving out our product to the people who are in the bottom of the pyramid, who don't have access to any banks. But we're starting with these people, and just with these two classes in these countries, there's already 650 million of them around. How we're planning to target these people is very different than the typical startup way of kind of digital marketing direct to these people. As mentioned, we have signed up partnerships with Axiata and Aeon. We hope to sign up another partnership with a government agency in the Middle East, which I hope to be able to announce within the next couple of weeks. But just Axiata and Aeon alone make up 400 million customers in Asia. What we're doing is we're partnering with them where they will help market HelloGold to their client base. And these are people who don't have access to financial services typically. And then the question you can ask is that why would these companies, they're not charities, they're not NGOs, they are profit-making companies, why would they want to partner with HelloGold? We're a startup, we don't have much money, we're not going to pay them to kind of market our product. But what we do is we provide solutions for them. So for example, Aeon, they provide loans currently to people who don't have banks. But because these are people who don't have a good credit score and a good credit history, they have to charge a high interest rate because there's a high default risk for people like this. They can take loans and then disappear and never pay back. So the market standard is very high. In Malaysia, it's about 15% interest rate per annum because there's so much default risk involved. With HelloGold, because the gold is held with us and the customer is holding it in their mobile app, there's no risk of them running away with the gold because the gold is collateralized with HelloGold. So if the customer doesn't make their payments, all Aeon does is they collect the gold that is held by HelloGold and we send it to them. With Axiata, their big business is telecom providing. And for a lot of telcos, I'm not sure how it is in France, but in countries like Malaysia and Thailand, a big problem that they have is that nobody is kind of topping up their minutes to kind of call and SMS. Everybody's moving to digital to use data, and so a big portion of their revenue is missing. So a lot of them are now doing mobile wallets, where essentially you use your top up with using topping up into their mobile wallets, and then being able to access other services and products beyond just being able to call and SMS. So for a lot of these telco providers, they are looking for merchants, for services to be given to their users. HelloGold provides people like Axiata a use for their customers to start saving. So they can start saving using Axiata's mobile wallet. And so HelloGold is not just a Malaysia business, it's expanding beyond just Malaysia to emerging economies across the world. In 2018, in the next couple of months, actually, we're expanding to Thailand, which is the third, I believe, or one of the top 5 economies in the world for gold. We're also expanding to the Middle East, starting with Dubai, and from there accessing other countries there. And for those of you here, much more important to you is we're expanding beyond just the fiat real world. We are looking to expand our services to the crypto market to provide GOLDX, which is our gold-backed token, for the crypto investors to hedge your wealth in gold. You can use Bitcoin or Ethereum, and if you think that the market's going to crash anytime soon, or you just want to be able to have a part of your portfolio that's placed in a token or a coin that is stable in price, you can use GOLDX as an option. going forward, we're also going to do a second round of the HelloGold token sale, where you can come in and buy at a discount to the market price. If you are interested in HelloGold token right now, you can go on exchanges that it's listed on. And otherwise, if you're interested to know more, you can join our Telegram group, which I will share the link to you shortly. Otherwise, I'm opening the floor to any questions.
How would you guarantee that the price is not gonna be volatile?
Sure. So for the fiat side, what we do is HelloGold commits to a fixed percentage of buy and sell. So our spread is always fixed. So currently for the fiat mobile app, it's 2% charge. So when you buy 2% above the world market price, and when you sell, it's 2% below. So we make our revenue from that percentages. It doesn't really matter to us, what you value gold's price is. We always fix that price. In the crypto world, what we plan to do is we are the market maker of last resort. So you can buy GOLDX from us at a fixed percentage, and you can then trade it outside. In any exchanges, to OTC across your friends or anyone you know. So when it's outside our ecosystem, you can trade it at any price, right? You have GOLDX in your wallet. You can tell someone else out there that I want to sell you GOLDX at $100 when the market price is 50. And if that person is willing to buy it, then it's a free market. They can do it. But how we want to manage that price is that HelloGold always commits to buy and sell at that fixed spread, right? So if the market outside of HelloGold prices it at a price that is beyond the spread, all anyone anywhere can do is just arbitrage. So I can buy from HelloGold at low price and sell it outside. And when you do that, the market will naturally go back to within the spread of HelloGold. I must add, so we have I think 3 HelloGold caps. So anyone who the first 3 that ask questions will be rewarded with a HelloGold cap. So if you want a free cap, feel free to ask any questions. No dumb questions anywhere.
I can go, but I will leave the cap because I wanted to ask you: aren't you worried people kind of like the feeling of having gold? Isn't it what they want? They want to hold the gold in their hands, or kind of thing.
So it's a free market. We don't force anyone to take our product. If they want a physical gold, they can go to any retail gold shop out there and get the physical gold. What we can say though is that when you buy physical gold, there is a cost to it. Because the moment it's like buying a first-hand car. The moment you buy it direct from the shop and it's in your hands, the price of that gold immediately drops to about 20% of the price if you want to sell it back. And there's a good reason for this, because when you get gold in your hand and then you want to sell it back to a shop, so such as myself, let's say I'm a shop, and you want to sell it back to me, there is no way I can tell that gold is real, is pure 99.99% investment grade. Because you can add a different metal to it. You can add, say, iron or copper, and just a small 1%, and the value of that gold already changes significantly. And for me as the shop, let's say I'm the pawnbroker, and I want to validate that your gold is real, I have to do a process that's called assaying, which is to check whether your gold is real or not. And there's specialized equipment to do all of that. It's not cheap. So that's why typically if you buy, say, 1 gram of gold and you want to sell it back, you will sell it back at 20% below the market price. And it's not because the shops are trying to cheat you out of your value, but it's because they have to run this process to make sure that the gold is real. But again, it's open to anyone. When GLD was started, the company that Robin was CFO of, it was new. It was a GLD ETF. It was a gold ETF that nobody had ever heard of before. A lot of the gold bugs, especially in North America, were saying that this is not real. There's no gold that's backing the product. We don't want to buy it. And a lot of people were saying that the product isn't going to sell. The partner that was first slated to partner with World Gold Council was actually BlackRock. They pulled out at the last minute because they thought that the product was not going to sell. So they worked with SPDR instead, Spider, which is a marketing agency. So that gold ETF went up to a peak of $70 billion of AUM within, I believe 5 years of business, and this was when gold was at the peak of its price. It shows, right? So there are people who don't need to hold that physical gold. They just want to have a position in gold with a product that they know fully backs that gold, and it's not just some peg to gold price.
Thank you.
And for GLD specifically, and I'm saying this because our operations are basically based on GLD, the biggest kind of proof to show that GLD had the gold backing the product is that when gold's price dropped from its peak in 2012, and a lot of people were kind of, and when the price is dropping, that's when you want to sell, even though that's not what should happen, but that's what happens, and people sell their GLD stock. It went from $70 billion to $30 billion, and there was no, essentially it was a bank run. There was no incidence of GLD not being able to provide these people with the cash. And so if they didn't fully back their product with all the gold, they would not have the gold to sell for cash and then to give to their investors. I had a short discussion with you about this, I believe. When it comes to a real physical asset, there's no such thing as full decentralization. There has to be an element of trust, because that gold is sitting somewhere in some vault. You have to trust that that vault is being handled by people who are not going to run away with the gold. It's audited by in our case by Bureau Veritas, which is a leading auditor of precious metals. But you still have to trust that Bureau Veritas is auditing it properly. You still have to trust that Excel Group, which is the insurance provider, is insuring it. It is going to be around to insure the gold. So there is an element of trust. If people are not comfortable with it, there are other options for them out there.
Thank you.
Yeah. 2 more caps, I believe.
So you said, can you explain again about the lending? How poor people can
Sure.
can lend money using HelloGold and also run away?
Yeah. So what we allow people to do is to start saving in gold, right? So you can start saving for example, €1 each time, and then you build it over time, and then when you have enough, say you have €1,000 worth of gold, you can then collateralize that gold. So that gold is sitting somewhere. It's your savings. You don't want to kind of withdraw it, because then you lose your position in gold, right? So if gold value goes up, then you don't have access to it. And you want a quick loan. So to get fiat out into, say, a bank account, or maybe you don't have a bank account, right? It takes time. But let's say you have an emergency. Your father has to go to the hospital, and you need to pay the bills immediately. You need a very quick loan. So what you could do is, with the mobile app, you choose to collateralize, say, €500 worth of gold, and that gold then becomes sort of locked up, and you don't have access to that gold. So HelloGold locks it up. You have then €500 of cash that you can kind of commit to your hospital to pay for your bills. That kind of €500 worth of gold is locked up, and you can then pay it back, over time to pay off the loan. If you run away and you don't pay up, the loan provider, they don't have any risk, because they know that if you don't pay, they will just take the gold that is already in our hands, and because we've signed an MOU and it's legal binding with the loan provider, all we do is we allocate the gold to the loan provider's account.
Can you explain for us your business model, because how you earn money?
How we make money?
Yeah.
So a simple answer is I like to use the example of like a wholesaler. So we buy in bulk at a much lower rate, and we sell to the market at a slight markup, but you can buy it for a lot smaller amounts. Because we can buy in bulk, we can get the kind of economies of scale, we can get the much better price, but you, who is the retail buyer, you get to buy a small amount and at a slight markup from what we buy. So that slight markup is the only revenue we make, on top of the management fee that we also charge.
There is a smart contract who define this percentage of the fee that you're taking?
Yes. So if you're a developer, you can go on GitHub and check the code for the GOLDX, which is already out there. What we've done is that fee is a variable, so we can change that and the idea is as we grow bigger, we will reduce the fee. But it's all baked in, and specifically on GOLDX, the smart contract, the way it's designed is that there is a what's called a demurrage cost. So today you have 1 GOLDX, tomorrow in your own wallet you have 0.9995, I believe, of GOLDX, because we are charging it every day and it gets automatically burned out of your wallet.
Yeah, you told us that your market is 700 million of customers. And
650 target market.
50.
Yeah.
And they don't have access to financial institutions, so how they can buy your gold?
Oh, yeah, okay, good point. There's different levels. So some of them might have a bank savings account, but they don't have access to loans. So like, you have savings account, you have say $100 inside, but when you want to apply for a loan, the bank's like, no, we can't give you, because you don't have a credit history, you don't have a good credit score, we're not comfortable to give you, because you have a high default risk, so you're not comfortable to give you loans. So on one level, there's people who have bank accounts but don't have access to loans. So they can still transfer cash from their online bank account to the HelloGold wallet. So that's one level. Another level are people who don't have bank accounts, right? So they can use other options of topping up. So which is why we partner with Axiata, because they have a mobile wallet. So people who don't have bank accounts, but a lot of people still have your prepaid telco account, right? You top up, say, I don't know, 10 euros a month, and you get this amount of minutes. That 10 euros in a telco mobile wallet you can then use to pay for any services or goods. So not ready yet, but the idea is you can use that top up in your mobile wallet to also buy gold.
Okay.
We also, I don't want to talk about things that are not really even started being in development yet, but in long term, when we said we want to also target the unbanked, we can partner with companies who already have huge access to retail, kind of like grocery store kind of shops. So there are already a number of these companies out there. It's just a matter of linking up with them and then developing the particular solution. But you can imagine a situation for example, if you're a refugee and you don't have bank account or a mobile telco wallet, you can go to a grocery store and that you trust that grocery store. You give them cash and they will show you on their interface that you give them cash and they will top up as a retail provider 10 ringgit into your account, and when you open your app you can still see 10 ringgit that's been topped up into your account. And smartphones, a lot of people even in low income group have the basic versions of smartphones.